Let me tell you, if you ever want to know what real war feels like, don't look for it in some courtroom or on TV with all those lawyers bickering over who gets Aunt Helen's china cabinet. No, the real battles, the kind that make you question your faith in humanity, they can start right in your own backyard with lace ribbons, fountains of cheap champagne, and a neighbor named Rose Gibson who'd sell her own mother for an extra inch of property line. Now, Rose, she wasn't your average neighbor. She was the president of our HOA self-appointed queen of the block, a clipboard glued to her palm and a permanent smile that stopped just shy of her eyes. She shows up at my front door one sticky afternoon batting her lashes, asking if she can borrow my mansion for her niece's wedding. I should have known better, right? Should have slammed the door, played the grumpy judge card. But no, I said yes. One day I thought, what's the worst that could happen? Well, let me tell you, by the time those wedding bells stopped ringing and the champagne stains started setting in, Rose wasn't just acting like a guest. She was strutting through my house like she'd just signed the deed herself. Turns out her little niece's wedding was just the opening act. What Rose really wanted was the whole mansion, and for her it wasn't a request, it was a campaign. Too bad for her she picked the wrong guy. I've spent half my life in a black robe staring down con artists and schemers. Rose had no idea what kind of fight she'd just picked. Here's the thing, when you pour everything into building something money sweat years, it stops being just bricks and boards. My mansion. It was my story, every staircase, every chandelier, every stubborn scratch in the floor. The marble I hand-picked from Italy, the oak library packed with law books. I actually read the backyard fountain, modeled after one I saw in Barcelona. Those weren't just features, they were chapters. I'd grown up in a shoebox, dreaming of a place no one could ever take away from me. But to Rose, none of that mattered. My mansion, in her eyes, belonged to the community, or let's be honest, to her. Rose had a way of making everyone else's happiness feel like an insult to her own. Mow your lawn, show off. Host a barbecue, nuisance. Hang some lights at Christmas, menace to aviation. She lived in a respectable house at the end of the cul-de-sac, a dream for most folks, but it wasn't enough, not with my place looming over hers like some palace. You could smell the jealousy on her thick as dollar store perfume. Even the neighbors picked up on it. One pulled me aside at a block party and whispered, "She says your mansion should have been community property." I just laughed. I mean, I had the deed, the survey maps, a lifetime of court experience. What could she possibly do? Famous last words, right? Because if you let enough gossip swirl sooner or later, you get a hurricane. The next HOA meeting, instead of discussing potholes or trash day, Rose turns the whole thing into her personal roast. We need to talk about Isaac's property. Maybe turn it into a clubhouse or a museum. A museum. Imagine that my living room with velvet ropes and tourists. I bit my tongue judge style, but I started taking mental notes. Rose wasn't letting this go. That house wasn't a home to her. It was power she could parade around the things she thought would fix whatever was broken in her. Let me back up a sec. Word on the street was Rose used to own a mansion herself. Lost it in a nasty divorce or foreclosure, depending on who you asked. Some say her ex tricked her, others say the bank. All I know is she never got over it. When she looked at my mansion, she didn't see stone, she saw a do-over, a second shot at the life she thought she deserved. So when she asked about her niece's wedding, she wasn't just fishing for a favor. She was working a long con, spinning a fairy tale about community, so the neighbors would start seeing my house as theirs too. Looking back, I should have told her to get lost, go rent a ballroom like the rest of us. But maybe I felt sorry for her, or maybe I was just tired of being the bad guy at every HOA barbecue. Either way, I caved. One day I said, "But that's it." You'd think that'd be the end of it. Oh, you sweet summer child. You give Rose Gibson an inch and she's out there measuring the whole neighborhood for curtains. Morning of the wedding. I wake up to a fleet of trucks in my driveway. Vendors unloading crates, building a stage in my backyard, stringing lights from the fountain to the porch, stapling tulle to my marble columns. My home looked like it was hosting the Oscars. I storm outside, whoa, 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 what is all this? Some guy shrugs, ma'am, said it was all approved. Ma'am, that's all you need to know. Then here comes Rose, dressed in an ivory pantsuit that probably cost more than my first car, waving her clipboard like a magic wand. Isn't it magnificent, Isaac? The community deserves to celebrate in style. Next thing I know, it's not just family arriving, it's business associates, county officials, real estate sharks. I catch her calling herself the lady of the house while guests gawk at the marble. Her so-called niece barely exists. She's just a prop. The whole event's a coronation for Rose, and I'm stuck on the sidelines watching her claim my life as her own. By sunset, my house is trashed, lawn trampled, fountain-clogged dining hall sticky with spilled wine. I expect a thank you, maybe a sorry. Nope. She stands there surveying the chaos like a Roman emperor. This is only the beginning, Isaac, she says, all sweet poison. And that's when I realize she's just getting started. Next morning, hammering wakes me up. Men are back, reattaching garlands, dragging chairs onto the lawn. Rose pops up with her clipboard grinning. Isn't it exciting? We're setting up for the HOA social at my house. She starts pitching plans for meetings, fundraisers, summer camps, turning my home into her fiefdom. I remind her of our deal. She waves it off. Oh, don't be dramatic, Isaac. Everyone agrees the house belongs to all of us now. Then she drops a packet of paperwork in my mailbox, official-looking documents, notary stamps, claims that my land was misfiled decades ago and the mansion actually belongs to some ancient community trust. It was laughable dates didn't line up. Notary stamp expired 5 years ago, but to the neighbors it looked legit. Soon the whispers started. Did you hear the mansion's really HOA property? Guess Isaac's been squatting all these years, squatting in my own home. At the next HOA meeting, Rose holds court in my backyard under lights she strung up herself. For too long, one man has hoarded what should be a shared treasure, she announces. Castles don't belong in neighborhoods. They belong to the people. There's actual applause. I stand up, show them the real deed, point out the forgeries. But Rose is a master of the smear campaign. See how defensive he is. If Isaac had nothing to hide, he wouldn't threaten us with lawsuits. She's not arguing law, she's playing to the cheap seats. The neighborhood splits right down the middle. Some folks still wave as I mow the lawn, bring over casseroles, promise they know the truth. Others avoid me like I'm contagious, and the diehards. They're helping Rose hand out flyers for the Willow Creek Community Center, my mansion, mind you. Rose poses on my staircase, posts pictures online, leads tours for real estate investors. That's when I finally snap. I storm into a tour group and kick them all out, trespassing plain and simple. Rose just smirks, whispers loud enough for the crowd. See how hostile he is. This is why we need the community to step in. Now here's the twist. While Rose struts around like she owns the place, I'm quietly building my case. Voice recorders in my pocket, snapping photos of banners, flyers, witness statements from vendors. She stiffed. The real bombshell, I dig into public records and find out she'd used forged documents to take out a loan on the mansion. That's not just arrogance. That's federal fraud. And still, she's planning her grand community center, opening banners, invitations, ribbon-cutting the works. I let her have her parade. The best way to beat a con artist is to let them dig their own grave. The morning of her big event, the house is swarming balloons, catering trucks, neighbors gawking. I watch from the balcony, let her enjoy her moment. Then, just as she's about to cut the ribbon, I step forward, binder in hand, and say, before you open the community center, Rose, maybe clear up a few legal matters. The crowd goes quiet. I lay out the evidence, photos, audio, forged documents, the fraudulent loan application. She tries to bluff, but I finish it with my judicial ID. My name is Judge Isaac Hayes. And Rose Gibson, you are guilty of attempted property theft, fraud, forgery, and criminal trespass. Sirens wail in the distance. Guess who called them? When the officers cuff her and read the charges, the neighborhood finally wakes up. People mutter apologies, the spell is broken, and Rose's empire crumbles faster than a house of cards in a windstorm. She goes from queen bee to cautionary tale in 10 seconds flat. I spend that night walking through my battered house, every scratch and stain. A reminder envy can turn neighbors into enemies, charisma can blind people to the truth, but in the end, reality always wins. Rose wanted a community center, she got a criminal record, the mansion's still mine, my name's still on the deed. And as I sit on my porch with a glass of iced tea, I think, yeah, I won the verdict. So if you've ever had to stare down a neighbor like Rose, if you've had to fight for what's rightfully yours, drop your story in the comments. Let's talk justice, let's talk boundaries. And don't forget to subscribe because trust me, this isn't the last HOA drama you'll ever hear from me.